He had no idea the night would turn on him. That one ignored call, just one, would soon split his world open. At 8:11 p.m., Adrien Hale stood on the balcony of the Luna Crest Hotel, the city glittering beneath him like a promise he believed he had finally earned. Guests were celebrating his new partnership deal, reporters were waiting for interviews, and his executives kept patting his back as if he had just won a crown. But while everyone praised his success, Adrien's phone vibrated quietly against the table beside him, lighting up with the same contact name he had declined all day: Maya. His wife. The woman who had once been his peace. The woman carrying their child. He glanced at the screen only long enough to know he wouldn't answer. Later, he whispered to himself, the same lie he'd been repeating for weeks. Later, when things calm down. Later, when the deal is safe. Later, when he had time to explain why he hadn't been around. But later had slowly become the wall between them. Across the city, Maya stood in their dim living room, one hand gripping the edge of the sofa, the other pressed against her swollen belly. A sharp wave of pressure rolled through her, stealing her breath. She tried again, call number 24. Straight to voicemail. She shut her eyes, whispering to the tiny life inside her, "Please hold on. Just a little longer." Her heartbeat thudded in her ears. The baby's movements felt different. Smaller, weaker, almost like faint taps instead of the rolling kicks she was used to. She grabbed her keys with trembling fingers, her breath shaking as she stepped into the cool night air. Another contraction hit, stronger this time. She winced, biting her lip to keep from crying out. "I can do this," she whispered, unlocking the car door. But deep inside, fear crawled up her spine. Something wasn't right. And the father of her child, the man she trusted, was clinking glasses in a ballroom, unaware that the most important moment of his life was happening without him. Everyone kept telling Adrien to smile for the cameras, but something, an uneasy pull in his chest, made him glance toward his phone again. It was dark now, finally silent. For a split second he wondered why Maya hadn't tried again. She always tried. She always waited. She always forgave. That thought should have comforted him, but instead it tightened something in his throat. Still he pushed it aside. Tonight was too important. At least that's what he told himself. Meanwhile, Maya gripped the steering wheel with both hands, her breathing uneven as she drove through traffic. Another wave of pain shot through her, sharper, deeper. She whispered, "Hold on, baby, please," even as her vision blurred at the edges. Each streetlight she passed looked farther away than the last. Her phone buzzed once, a message. She prayed it was Adrien. But it wasn't. Just a reminder for her next appointment. The kind of reminder people get for normal days, not nights like this. As she pulled into the hospital driveway, her legs barely carried her. A nurse rushed toward her, eyes widening at the sight of the trembling woman holding her belly. "How far along?" the nurse asked quickly. 26 weeks, Maya breathed. The nurse nodded sharply, signaling another staff member. A wheelchair appeared, and suddenly everything around her moved too fast. Doors opening, lights flashing, voices calling codes she didn't recognize. Back at the gala, another toast began. Adrien raised his glass out of habit, but his smile froze halfway. His phone lit up again, this time from an unknown number. Something in him twisted. A quiet voice inside whispered, "Answer this one." Adrien stared at the unknown number flashing on his screen, his hand hovering in the air as if answering it might break something fragile inside him. He almost let it ring out, almost, but something about the timing, the silence from Maya, the strange pull in his chest made him swipe to accept. "Hello?" he said, stepping away from the noise of the ballroom. The voice on the other end was calm, professional, and terrifying. "Is this Mr. Hale? Your wife has been admitted to the emergency department. You need to come now." For a moment, everything around him went still. The music, the chatter, the laughter, it all blurred into nothing. "My wife? Maya? What happened?" His voice cracked before he could stop it. The nurse responded gently, "She's experiencing complications with the pregnancy. Please come immediately." The line clicked off, leaving him frozen, breath stuck somewhere between his ribs. At the hospital, Maya lay on a stretcher, monitors beeping around her. She tried to stay awake, but each contraction pulled her deeper into exhaustion. Nurses moved quickly, strapping sensors across her abdomen, calling instructions to each other. She felt the cold gel, the pressure of hands checking her, the sharp sting of fear spreading through her chest. "Is my baby okay?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The doctor didn't answer right away, and that silence broke something inside her. The baby's heartbeat flickered on the monitor, dipping lower than before. The doctor's expression tightened. "We're doing everything we can," she said softly. Another contraction ripped through Maya, and she gasped, gripping the blanket with shaking fingers. She looked toward the door, hoping, praying to see Adrien walk in. But the doorway remained painfully empty. Only the sound of footsteps and machines filled the air. And as another monitor alarm sounded, the doctor exchanged a look with the nurse, one Maya wasn't meant to see. A look that said time was slipping away. Adrien didn't wait for his driver. He sprinted out of the hotel, the cold night air hitting his face like a slap. Every step toward his car felt too slow, every red light too long. His thoughts raced faster than the tires on the road. Why didn't I pick up? Why did I keep ignoring her? What if he couldn't even finish the thought? His hands tightened on the steering wheel as he whispered to himself, "Please be okay, Maya. Please hold on." It was the first real prayer he'd said in years. Inside the hospital, Maya felt the world fading in and out. The bright overhead lights blurred into streaks as nurses hurried around her. The doctor stood at her side, her voice calm but firm. "Maya, your baby's heart rate is dropping again. We need to act quickly." Maya's breath shuddered. Can you wait a little longer? My husband, he's coming." Her voice cracked on the last word. The doctor hesitated, not out of cruelty but reality. "We will try, but the baby's safety has to come first." Another contraction hit, sharp and crushing. Maya cried out softly, gripping the side rails of the bed. Her tears weren't just from the pain. They were from fear, from loneliness, from the ache of facing the scariest moment of her life without the person she needed most. Down the hall, a nurse checked the monitor again. The numbers dipped once more. She stepped closer to the doctor, whispering something urgent. The doctor's face grew more serious. "Prepare the ore," she instructed quietly. "We can't delay much longer." Maya's heart dropped. She turned her head toward the door again, hoping, just one glimpse of him, that's all she wanted. But the hallway outside remained empty, shadows stretching across the floor. Another nurse gently touched her shoulder. "You're strong. Your baby is strong. We're right here with you." Her words were kind, but they couldn't fill the space where Adrien should have been standing. And then, as they began to wheel her toward the operating room, Maya felt a wave of fear so deep it made her voice tremble. "Please," she whispered to the ceiling, "just let my baby live, even if I have to do this alone." Adrien burst through the hospital doors just as they were rushing Maya toward the operating room. He caught only a glimpse of her, pale, frightened, barely conscious, before the doors swung shut between them. "Maya," he shouted, but his voice bounced uselessly down the corridor. A nurse stepped in front of him, gently but firmly blocking his path. "Sir, they're preparing her for an emergency delivery. Please wait here." "Wait." The word felt like punishment. He pressed both hands into his hair, pacing in the narrow hallway. His chest tightened as guilt crashed over him. She called me. She needed me. I wasn't there. For the first time in years, Adrien felt truly powerless. No deal, no negotiation, no victory could save him from the truth that he had failed the person who trusted him most. Inside the OR, Maya's breaths were short and shaky. Nurses moved around her quickly, adjusting monitors, checking lines, preparing instruments. The doctor leaned close, her voice steady. "We're going to deliver your baby now. Stay with me, Maya. You're doing everything right." But Maya's focus drifted. She imagined the tiny heartbeat inside her, fragile yet fighting, and whispered, "Please be strong, please." Her eyes fluttered as the world dimmed at the edges. She wasn't thinking of herself anymore, only the tiny life coming too soon, too small, too uncertain. Back in the hallway, a red light above the operating doors flickered on. Adrien stopped pacing, his breath caught in his throat. His entire world, his wife, his child, his future, was now behind that glowing light. And as he stared at it, trembling, one terrifying question echoed inside him. What if I'm already too late? The red light above the operating room finally switched off. Adrien froze, unable to move, barely able to breathe. The doors opened slowly, and for one terrifying moment, no one said anything. Then the doctor stepped out, her eyes tired but gentle. "Mr. Hale, your daughter is here. She's very small but she's fighting." His knees nearly buckled. "And Maya?" he whispered, afraid of the answer. The doctor placed a steady hand on his arm. "She's stable. Weak but stable. She's asking for you." Adrien didn't wait, he practically ran to her room. When he entered, Maya lay pale against the pillows, her breathing soft and uneven. Her eyes opened slowly when she heard his footsteps. "You came," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. He went to her side instantly, taking her trembling hand in both of his. "I'm so sorry," he choked out, the words breaking free after weeks of silence. I should have been here. I should have answered. I should have never left you alone tonight. A tear slipped down her cheek, painful but not angry, just tired. She's tiny, Maya whispered. But she's strong. Adrien nodded, swallowing hard. Like her mother. He helped her sit up as a nurse wheeled in a tiny incubator. Inside, their daughter lay curled beneath soft lights, her chest rising with fragile determination. Maya reached out a shaking hand toward the incubator's window. Look at her, she breathed. She came early, but she came fighting. Adrien felt something shift inside him, something deeper than fear, deeper than guilt. A truth he'd ignored for too long. Nothing he ever built, nothing he ever won could match what he could have lost tonight. He squeezed Maya's hand gently. I'm here now, he said quietly. And I'm not going anywhere. For the first time in months, Maya believed him. And as their daughter fought her tiny battle inside that warm glow, Adrien finally understood what truly mattered. Not the deals, not the applause, not the victories. Presence. Family. The moments he almost missed forever.